So for these formulas, each formula, the returns are displayed. Okay, there are different types of returns here. What are the different types? One is direct. Direct means the value from the formula goes directly into the same element. You are linking an element with the formula. So let me show you an example here. This is how the status processing rule looks. Okay. So if I say direct result, it means it will go into the same element. What is the name of the element? SPHRA. See, this is the reporting name of the element. SPHRA. It will go into this element's which input value? Pay value.
Okay.
Okay. And there is an indirect feed. That means indirect means it goes to another element called SPHRA earnings calculator, where it is going into the earnings type of input value. See if it is making sense.
The second part, sir, the second part, can you say that again?
Okay.
Sorry.
First part was direct. Direct means it goes into the same element. Second part is indirect, means it goes to another element, a third element.
Oh, so the values like result returned is L value. That is the value which is being returned from the formula.
Yes.
Is going into another element which is
Another
SPHRA
element.
earnings.
See, the target element is different.
Money,
you see this?
Yes.
In SPHRA, it is this direct result which will go there. That's why there is no element name, because you know it is going into this element. Only thing you need to specify is the input value.
Oh, that's why there is no other element mentioned there. Huh?
Correct.
Okay.
And you can also pass certain messages. Messages, for example, in the HRA, suppose somebody forgot to enter the HRA percentage. So you can say HRA not processed as percentage not entered. So that could be a message.
Same formula will be returning the message as well as result. Yeah?
Yes. So we have to write our formula in that way. Let me show you an example of the okay. And this is how your HRA formula should look. So usually what happens, moment you create a formula element, Oracle creates the element eligibility. Okay, sorry, not eligibility, the status processing rule, which is this SPHRA on base. You see this here on the left hand side? You should delete this one. And you need to add your own element, your own formula to the element. So what I have done, I deleted that one and I went to the formula and created a new formula using my formula, SPHRA calc.
So we have deleted the previous, the existing formula, right?
Correct. And from the same date, I am linking my custom formula.
Okay.
And I am passing the HRA as a direct result, message as an indirect result.
And sir, what if we don't do this? Like if they have delivered formulas?
Yes, they have delivered formula, then you have to only use their functionality.
Oh, okay.
Suppose you want something different, you can't do it unless you add your own formula.
Correct. This is for direct.
This is for direct.
They were like direct result, indirect, and
Indirect.
message.
And stop.
Stop. What does that do, sir?
Stop means like if it is a recurring element, you want to stop further processing of that element. For example, somebody has taken a loan and after the loan is repaid, you want to stop processing. Then once you say stop, the element will not be processed anymore.
Okay.
And they have introduced a couple of other ones also, things like order indirect. I'll show you that. So those are variations of these two main ones. And we have SPHRA. So when I go to this SPHRA, earn base is there by default. Okay. Now, if I want to use my own formula, first I have ensure the date. Date is a very messy thing here. Be very careful about the date. Okay. Best way is just ensure the same date is there everywhere. There'll be less confusion. Then we want to delete it. So we'll say delete status processing rule. Gone. Next, we want to add a status processing rule. So we'll click on status processing rule and click on actions and create status processing rule. Okay. And I have over here formula name. So here I can give SPHRA. Give me a minute. SPHRA calc. So the formula that I had is now selected. Okay. Now these formulas actually they vary by assignment status. Okay. So for different assignment statuses, you can have different formulas. All right.
Okay.
And when we say assignment status all, that means for all the assignment statuses, you can have one type of formula. One formula for all statuses. In that particular assignment status, you cannot have more than one formula. That is why we have to delete what is already there. Because this assignment status will cover all possible assignment status. Isn't it? If I want one for active, one for inactive employees, I can't do that.
So let's say there are two type of employees there. One is status is payroll eligible. Another status is payroll not eligible.
Okay.
Or something else. So we can write two different formulas for two different statuses, right?
Yes.
That is very handy. Yeah,
yes.
Thank you.
But it becomes very messy also.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes it might be easier to have one formula And in that formula, you have all your logic written. If assignment status is active, then do this. If assignment status is inactive, then do this. You will achieve the same thing.
Yeah, we can put a condition there, right?
Yes. So I'm
But
just telling you alternatives. Doesn't mean that this is right or that is wrong. But depending on your circumstances, companies use different things.
the issue is what we have I have encountered myself personally is that when we try to put up conditions for that, like assignment status, like assignment status is very common, but there are certain variables.
Assignment
It's really
category
hard to
and those things.
it's
Yes.
yeah, it's really hard to find the DVI of that
Okay.
sometimes.
Sometimes, yes, it is. And now actually DBI is being used exhaustively across the application. So you have DBIs for extracts, you have DBIs for all possible purposes. So there's a huge list.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now moving on. So when I click on this plus sign here, you will find these result windows have opened up. So based on what is there in the formula, you will get the results here. So we are going to return HRA. Should it be direct or indirect?
Direct.
Yes, Shivani, should it be direct or indirect?
Yeah, direct.
Direct. Why? I'm linking it with my same element.
Yeah.
Now see, in this result rule, there are other ones also. One is order indirect, another one is target indirect. Order indirect and target indirect, the difference is earlier when we used to do this indirect result, it had to be a non-recurring element. Now they have done away with that requirement. It can be a recurring element as well. Okay, so there are two additional ones. Let me just add them over here so that this will be order indirect and target indirect. So let's add it as a direct result. Moment you add it, as this will disappear and you have to choose an input value. Where do you want it to go? All the processed value should ultimately go into pay value. Then we
the target input value. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, that is the input value where the HRA amount will be going. Result rule, since this is a message, this will also be a message. And everything will be blank. And message level, you can specify whether it is error, information, warning. Error means it will not allow you to proceed. Warning means it will give you a message, but you can proceed if if something happens in that message. And information means it's for your information kind of thing, FYI.
And we can also proceed.
Yes, you will be able to proceed.
So when we select error, it will not let the user proceed,
Correct.
right? It will itself. Okay.
Actually, user proceed in the sense it is being processed. Oracle payroll type of formulas are processed along with payroll. So the payroll is running for let's say 10,000 employees. Elements that have this message of severity level as error, those elements will process as error. Those will not get processed. That's the difference. Because user has no role here. Right? Oh. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now I'll show you how we do this formula.
So the difference between order and target indirect.
Difference between order and target indirect. Okay. One is I keep forgetting which one is which. One is for when it goes into the recurring element. Okay. So like I said, indirect earlier it used to be only for non-recurring type of element.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in Fusion, they added these extra ones where you can pass on these values from the formula to different types of elements. Okay. Now, when you define these, like we said, order direct is for any type of element where you are passing the value. Okay.
Right.
Order indirect is, or you can say the target indirect is when you are passing it to a non-recurring element.
Okay.
So let me just go back and so this target indirect to update and non-recurring element. Okay. And whose priority is lower is lower than the element. So normally when we pass this indirect, it updates an element whose priority is greater than the element. Okay. Passes value to an input value of the same element, usually pay value. So that is where the final processed value is given. If the person works for 10 days, person works for 20 days, depending on that, it is giving the value. Okay.
Okay, so we can basically just update on this thing.
Yes. Then when we come to this, order indirect will actually change the order of processing, basically. Change the sub priority, you can say, priority of the element mentioned in target indirect. To pass a message from the formula. Stop is stop processing, stop further processing of the element. Okay. Making sense?
Yes, sir. Just one thing. Where is the recurring element handled?
Recurring, non-recurring, when we define an element. So when you pass an element, okay, usually the recurring element, what happens is you pass the value once and it will keep processing again and again. Okay. Understood?
So if we want to change the value of not of a recurring element, we'll go with indirect, plain indirect.
You want to change
Direct.
Want to change the value of a third
Yes.
element, which is
Yes. Well, actually, not just change the value, pass a processed value. For example, if you remember that assignment I was telling you about, this one.
yes.
We have two elements. One is PF employee contribution. One is PF employer contribution. We are going to use one formula. Within that formula, what it will do, it will process percentage into basic salary. Right? And it will return two values. One for employee, another for employer contribution. Clear? See, think about it. We are doing the PF calculation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand.
So it will pass employee contribution and employer contribution. Employee contribution can go directly to the PF employee contribution element, which is a recurring element. And employer contribution will go to as an indirect feed to the PF employer contribution table element.
Yes, a third element is there.
Third element, correct. Okay.
I mean, can we do this part once? Or
This is your practice, Shivani. You will have to do this. That's why, see, that's why you have a gradation of the practice formula. You completed this one.
I mean, you mentioned earlier, like, for one, thing, we're
HRA.
going to use one formula. So by using this one formula, we're going to get both at the same time. That is my question.
Sorry, I didn't get what you're saying.
I mean, for every element, when we are mentioning this thing now, we are going to use one separate formula, right?
Yes. If the processing logic is different, then I will use different formulas.
Okay.
It might happen that I have allowances, right? Shift allowance, then I have, let's say, internet allowance, work from home allowance, and things like that. In that case, there could be an input value which will say allowance percentage. And there can be one formula which will look at the allowance percentage and process the amount and return it to the pay value. So whichever element is being processed, it will call the same formula, look at the process, look at the input value, process it and return it.
So it will ask for the input values as per the element class. I mean, as per the definition of the element.
Correct.
we enter the value and then the formula will be processed and the
Exactly.
values will be written.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In most cases, we enter a percentage because we don't know what the amount is going to be, let's say. So if somebody is getting 50,000 and I say 50% of HR is HRA, 50% of 50,000 will be calculated for one person. For another person, it might be 40%, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let me go back to my formula and show you how that formula is done. Huh? So I search for fast formulas. And so let's say I have this SP HRA calc. SP HRA. SP HRA calc. Okay. So what is my formula doing? It is looking for the basic salary database item. So if you remember what was our structure for the formulas, we had said default is 0.
Yes.
That was the first line. Default for salary is 0. And our salary is coming from this element and this input value. Okay. Inputs are percentage. That means from the element, the percentage input value is being used. HRA is this amount, whatever we have entered on the employee, multiplied by the percentage. Divided by 100. So if somebody has entered 40%, we divide it by 100. That is my final HRA value. And message is amount of HRA is this. And we return HRA and the message from the formula. See if you have understood this.
Yes.
Yes,
Shivani?
yes. So
Yes, go ahead.
we can implement here other deduction formulas also. We cannot,
We can implement other.
like for deducting PF or any other thing, we cannot implement. We should do it on other formula, right? I'm saying.
Yes. So how do we look at a database item? We say SP or anything that you want to search. You can go by name also. Description, any of these you can search. So description, you can say person name. So this is on the description. and whatever is there related to the person, it will pull it up and display it. See, here you will get the person name things here. Okay, all things. This is the database item name. This is the database data type. You can increase the window here like this, drag it here, and then you get the database item name, you get the description, and as you scroll down, you will see different things relating to the name. All these attribute names, these are your DFFs on the person name screen. This is the name ID. If you want to refer to the name ID, then you can use this inside your formula. Per name suffix, what is the name type? These are all the DFFs. Where is the name? In case it doesn't pull up here, another option is to look at the, if you are looking at it with the database name, you can do this per underscore and then do a search. It will get you a longer list. Okay. And you can also search for the element names that you have defined. For example, I have defined SPHRA, and if I click on search, this is a dynamic database item. Okay. So I have this SPHRA earnings results, and then all these are individual fields. If you look at this, you can very well make out for each element, there are different fields, right? So each of these fields are given here. Like this one, ASG entry value. This is a particular database item. If I say add to formula, this this database item will get added inside the formula. Okay, so let's say I want to say correct, and wherever I am inside the formula, I'll say add to formula, and you will see this name will get added inside your formula. So you don't even have to remember it. The way it is organized is, this is the name of the element, SPHRA. This is what type of, this is the classification. This is the section for the results. And this is the input value state. So if you want to refer to the percentage, you would have to come here and look, see results percentage. So this input value you should be referring to. Now, SP basic, if I want to refer to SP basic, I will say SP basic salary. Okay, then all the input values for the SP basic salary will be displayed here. All the input values and the element fields on the element definition window. So whichever one you want to use, you have, these are all the balances initially. And then these are the, see, deduction code, classification, identifier, salary name, currency code, processing priority, processing type, reporting name, everything is defined over here. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So will you give it a shot?
Yes, sir. This is like,
Okay.
yeah.
I will just show you how you create a formula. First, have this text done in a notepad or somewhere, then copy it, and when you create a new one, click the plus sign, give the formula name, and type is Oracle Payroll. This is the one that is used during the payroll calculation. Then legislative data group, and give a date. Usually give a past date, 1/1 and let's say 20. Click continue. And over here, paste your formula. Once you have pasted, you can save it. You have to compile it. Okay, you see this compile button here? Hit compile. Every formula must be compiled. If it is not compiled, it cannot be used in the inside the processing. Okay, system will stop. It will give an error if the formula is not processed, is not compiled.